this. Put you guys on the tripod real quick. Alright, so I've been wanting to do this mod for such a long time, and just because of how hard it is to just find an E46 M3 wheel, especially here in Quebec, because if you go in Ontario, there's like a lot of BMWs, M3s and everything that are like scrapped or part outs. But even though I've always wanted to make like a switch up on the car steering wheel, but don't get me wrong, like the free spoke steering wheel is nice, like I did a carbon fiber wrap on it, but I just prefer the M3 wheel because I've just had my eyes on it for such a while now. And on top of that, I just feel like the M3 wheel is more complete as a wheel. It's more sporty and more beefy. There's more girth when it comes to handle of the wheel, and yeah, it's just a nice wheel overall. This is a steering wrap that comes from Mewant, and I got it from Amazon like real quick. This steering wrap is Alcantara on the sides with M3 stitching with perforated leather. So there you have it. So there's the M3 stitching right here, perforated leather, and these are the sides. And on top of that, I'm gonna be wrapping in carbon fiber all the trim pieces. So this time I'm going to be doing like a complete wrap for the steering wheel. I'm also going to switch the trim piece from the old free spoke trim piece because this one is like nicked. So when I'm gonna do like my wrapping with the vinyl, for sure that's gonna create a lot of bumps and maybe a little bit of bubbles, or it's gonna peel off in the future eventually. All right, so I took the trim pieces out, but I quickly realized that separating the little control, the little buttons from the actual trim piece itself is not possible because I actually took this off. So these are like little star head screwdrivers. They're just attached to little controls itself. It's not like you push this little plastic button and then it pops out. Yeah, that's a bummer. So when I'm gonna be wrapping, I'll have to be more precise with my cutting and trying to really squeeze that vinyl between the little cracks here.
Later.
Right, so when you're gonna put the steering wrap together on the wheel, you're gonna make sure that you clearly indicate where is the back and the front. So on the steering wrap, there's gonna be the B and the F for back and front. So usually the red stitching is the back and the front stitching is the light blue right here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and line up the free stripes, and in the same time, just make sure that these four corners, like right here, like this corner, the two in the bottom right here, I'm gonna try to line them up with the corners that are on the wheels. Like right here. The only problem that I have right now is I don't have the airbag mounted, so I cannot see where's the middle splitting line from the BMW emblem, right? So I'm gonna try to line this up as close to possible to the weaves and the lines. And this would be easier if the wheel was mounted on the actual steering column on the car, to be honest. Alright, so I got it on the wheel. Now the only thing I'm gonna do is make the little minor adjustments for the flaps, like right here on the sides, and also to see if I have at least 3 millimeters closing the gaps here. For example, right now, that's not enough because like it's off over here, so it's off centered. I'm gonna try to get everything centered on the wheel and also have a gap that's at least like 3 millimeters. You don't want larger than that and you don't want closer than that, because when you're gonna be sewing, you want the letter to close together evenly. All right, so I got everything centered and adjusted. The both flaps here on either ends are even. I actually put the airbag in the trim pieces back as a reference point to see if my little M stripes are like really aligned, because I kid you not, you need to make sure that everything is really centered. So spend the extra minutes to get this really aligned, because I'm telling you right now, when you're going to be looking at your steering wheel at the end, it's going to drive you crazy. They actually provide you with a little blade, so that's going to be after if you're leaving the trim on. You're tucking underneath the trim steering wrap. After that, we're going to have our threads. Just pick the original blue. Double-sided tape. The double-sided tape, if you want to put it in the interior like this, you can hold in place the actual steering wrap itself to the wheel. Like this, you don't get like wrinkles or something. I'm not going to use it. I prefer just like doing the stitching like right on top of it without the double-sided tape, because I just feel like in the future when it's going to get hot, the steering wheel is going to get hot, it's all going to get like sticky underneath the actual fabric, and I don't know, I just prefer not using this, right? And lastly, there's a little thimble. Thimble's actually going to protect you from not poking yourself with the needle every time you pass it through the loops. If you're really poking yourself left and right, then really use this, but I don't know, you just have to be careful and you're not going to poke yourself. So when it comes to calculate the amount of thread that you really need, I tried to search multiple videos on how to calculate like how much thread you need. I saw the video from the original company, Mewant. They use single thread. Personally, I just feel that's not strong enough. It's like really brittle, it's thin. So I feel like if you go double thread, that's gonna be better. How do you know how much you need for a double thread too? You go from here to there, and then you just measure it like 7 times like so. And anytime if you're missing thread, you can just poke a hole and then you make a little knot, and then you start the same place that you just made the knot. All right, so you're gonna go ahead, take your thread, then you're gonna pass it through the needle. So you're just gonna take your both ends, and then you're gonna wrap it around your finger like if you were attaching a balloon. And then we're just gonna slide this one up, take this one, bring it underneath, take it, and there you go. So there you go, that's your first knot. If you want to make the knot bigger because you don't want it to pull back, just make another one. That's actually what I'm about to do. The loop right here, you want to pull it back like this, it goes onto the knot. And then tighten it up like this. Every time you're sewing with double thread, you have to make sure that you're always holding the thread tight like this, it doesn't get entangled up, because you might risk of having like a little knot or something along the way. All right, so the first point where you're going to thread, where you're going to pass the needle, if I zoom out real quick, you're going to get a big perspective. This is the bottom of the steering wheel. So the thing is, because we already made our knot like right here, we don't need to go through like one time from the front, and then when we're at the back, we make our knot and then we come back to the front, right? You don't need to do that because we already made the knot. So we're just gonna pass it through. You have to make sure that the thread doesn't get stuck. And there you go. So you actually see that even if you pull it, it's all good. It's gonna stay there. There's no problem. So that's why I prefer double thread than a single thread. All right, so I got the wheel hooked up on the vise right now in a particular way that you can see a little bit. I'm just gonna bring you guys a little bit closer for you to see how we're going to stitch this. So now what you're going to do is you're going to take your needle, pass it through the other side, and when you're gonna come from the back, you don't want to poke it this way. You want to poke it from the side you're coming from. So you want to go back. We're gonna come back from the first actual loop right here. So we're gonna go underneath the loop, pass it through. So hold it. And one thing I'm actually going to do real quick, I'm going to cut the little strands from the knot like this. I don't get confused, because I'm getting confused right now. We're gonna close it up a little bit tight, not too tight. What you want to do right now, because we're in corners, you want to actually use every single loop. The second loop that we're gonna go through back is going to be the light blue one, right? But we're gonna go into the second loop, this one, and this loop, and make sure that every single time you pass the thread, it stays tight. Because in the corners, you really want to make it tight. Like this, you don't have any wrinkles. Because right here, we don't want any kind of wrinkles or shrinkage, so we're gonna try and make it as flush as possible. And then when you come back this way. So we're gonna poke on the next hole. We're gonna go straight across for the other one, like this. So when you're done with that one, try to pull it tight. See how I need to make it tighter? You really need to pull on it. And be patient, guys, because this might take like 2 hours or 3 hours. So already accepted the fact that that's gonna take so long. So that's why I'm like really patient. I'm really taking my time. Gotta make it super tight. It may seem like it's gonna break the loop or something, but you need to make it tight, or else it's gonna be slacky. Just don't go too crazy on pulling the strand, because or else for sure you're gonna break something. So right now I use all the little loops. So I've used like the majority of half of my thread. And the thing that I'm concerned about is when to start my skipping loops, because when you skip loops, that means that the steering wrap is not gonna leave like a little gap when it's gonna get tight. So I had this issue like right here where I was tightening it and I skipped the loop, but when I skipped the loop, I saw that there was still a seam, right, that was open, and I could see the interior of the steering wheel. So what I did, I still went again with one loop to one loop until I could see that, okay, the material can close right now, because the area that I'm working with is not that tight and there's enough material available to wrap around the steering wheel. Right, so here I'm gonna start using all the little loops, because I do not want any creases when it comes to the sides, right? So I really want this to stay flush and slick with the steering wheel like this. I don't see any wrinkles. I really want the perfect finish. So right now, to close off this whole section, you have to pass through the little hole at the end of the red one, right? So this side, now you want to pull it tight, real tight. Do not want any creases, because at this point we're finishing it off, so we really want to finish it clean. To make a knot, the simplest way, because there's different ways of making knots with this, you could do like the balloon shape, and then you go like inside, and then you make the knot. But the simplest way and the fastest way to do it really is using the needle itself. So what you're going to do, actually, you want to keep this tight. You want to take at least a large amount of the thread, as the needle close to the bottom, and then pick the thread and just do multiple little turns with the needle. So around 5 to 6 turns. So this is 2, 3, 4, 5, while holding tension. So you need to hold tension with the needle and the thread in the same time. With this finger, this one, you're gonna pull back on the thread that's on the needle. Like this, you can just retract what's closest to the steering wrap right here. Then we're just gonna hold it really tight on the fabric, and then we're just gonna pass the needle through like this, like so, and then that's gonna make your loop. So you hold it down, then that makes your stupid ass loop. So I actually messed it up, so I got the knot a little bit higher than what's supposed to be at the bottom, so it didn't get tight in the hole. So I'm just gonna try again with what's left right here of the thread. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like so, and that's it. Then you can hide it underneath. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and finish this steering wrap real quick. I mean, the same principles applies. It comes for this side and then the rest of this side. So now it's going to take me a lot of time. I think that's it. So I'm going to check back with you guys when I'm going to be done. Alright, so it's been actually like a couple days that I haven't touched the steering wheel, just because I had stuff to attend to. But on the other clip, on that actual day I finished the steering wheel, it's like really tight everywhere. I don't have like any complaints. The only issue is like if you put the airbag like right here, stripes, I tried to line them as much as possible to be like centered with the logo, but yeah, it seems a little bit off. But I don't know if that's just me being like really minimalistic and just wanting it to be like as perfect as possible. It's not really gonna bother me since I'm gonna put everything back and it's gonna look like really good. But apart of that, the only issues I had with sewing is trying to pull all the little wrinkles here, right? One wrinkle here, I think another wrinkle right about here, right? It's such a small detail that you're not really gonna feel it, because every time you're like grabbing it, you're smushing down the alcantara or the material, so it's just like soft and it gives like a little bit of play. So that's that for the steering wrap. Now we're gonna go ahead with the wrapping of the little trim pieces. So I'm gonna go take the trim piece on the other steering wheel and get started on the wrapping. So we're just gonna go ahead, check if the vinyl on the back is not damaged or anything. You never know if it's actually like pierced or cracked or something. And you wanna leave yourself at least an inch or an inch and a half. Like this, you can at least pull it and conform it around the form of the trim pieces. Like so. Alright, so I already conformed the vinyl to the form of the trim piece. Now the only thing that's left to do is to do the cutout. Now I'm gonna go ahead and get started with the little buttons first, and then I'm gonna go ahead and cut out the little M badge, and then cut out all the excess that's all around and finishing the trim piece. To think that I made this wheel, well, not the whole wheel, but to make the wrap and the steering wheel wrap and just like having the wheel too, man, this is crazy. This is surreal, to be honest. I know there's way other luxury items in the world right now and whatever, but just the feeling of doing it yourself, like, oh my god, that's something else. For sure there's gonna be a B-roll. You already know there's gonna be a B-roll. I gotta stick this in my memories, you feel? All right, so we came to the end of the video. Now I'm just really hyped because the steering wheel, it looks bussin'. It looks so good. I'm so hyped. I've been waiting to do this thing for such a long time. For sure, I missed a little bit of spots. Like here on the steering wrap, I missed the loop. Like in the back, it didn't stick as well, but I put like double-sided tape. But part of that, I just mean like it came out so good. It matches the rest of the trim piece. I'm fanboying right now. I'm just going crazy, you know? But I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna conclude this video. So if you like the video, leave a like down below, man. Just smash that like button. It shows YouTube that I'm doing a great job. If you have any opinions regarding the whole process of wrapping the steering wheel or how it looks in the car, leave that comment down below. Like, don't actually just watch the video and just skip. Like, if you feel you have to say something, leave a comment down below. Let your heart show out. If you liked it that much, you want to share with friends, go ahead and share. Yeah, apart of that, I'm gonna see you on the next video, guys, and the next one's gonna be a banger as well, so stay tuned. All right, peace.